Давайте поприветствуем.
Доброе утро. Меня зовут Saule. Я буду переходить на английский, потому что вам было бы очень трудно слушать мою презентацию по-русски. Но, как сказали, есть перевод на русский, так можете взять. First of all, I'd like to shortly introduce am I and what I'm doing, and so that you know where the knowledge comes from and what you can ask me. As introduced, I'm working in a law firm, SORIANEN. SORIANEN is a law firm working in the region of Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, and Belarus. We are working with almost all corporate issues, but at the moment we're working quite a lot. Me and some of my team members, we're working quite a lot with game devs who are interested of moving their businesses to Lithuania or opening studios in Lithuania. Therefore, we've been working with some of, well, see already some familiar faces with whom already talked about possibilities in Lithuania, and I'm hoping to describe you a little bit not only Lithuania, but about EU and what are the possibilities and what are the chances and what are the options. So first of all, if we are talking about opening a business in EU, there are several factors we have to have in mind, because as a rule, you probably, if you are a game developer, you probably, after reaching a certain stage, you have different companies for different purposes. You probably would have an IP holding company and publishing company which can be combined, and you would probably have development company as a separate one. As a rule, this is a tool to separate risks related to running running the business, and it's also necessary for tax's perspective. We'll give you a more description about each of those, because, for example, for development company, there are one criteria that are important, and for IP holder and publisher, there are other criteria that are important. I will mostly review 10 European Union member states, so I will compare their tax rates, their rules as much as I can, because naturally I don't have the knowledge of all the EU member states. But to start with, developer, I think that most important topics for opening a development company, for opening a studio, would be, first of all, the environment. I think since it's related to having people living in one country or another, it's related to environment you will be working in. It's related to who are the people who you will be working with. It's not only legal or tax or formal questions. It's always a question whether you like one country or don't like one country. And it's always important to go and see and live and try and then decide. Because when it comes to development company, it's always, this company is established in a country where your developers or part of your developers live. So you can't decide to move somewhere if the climate, there's an environment that they're not going to like. Another criteria is, when it comes to EU, there are several ways of how you a citizen or resident in a country outside of EU. It's not this simple to just move to start working in the EU. And there are some procedures which foresee how citizens of non-EU countries can receive residency, can receive permission to live and work in the EU. And one of the tools is Blue Card. I will be talking about that, but it's also related to the legal requirements, also related to the tax requirements. Another requirement you will be looking at is taxation of employment, and we'll go into that in a moment. And the thing which is natural, but I would like to note that, for example, you open in Lithuania a studio to develop your games or any kind of product for that matter, will be able, you will register that company for VAT purposes. You will be able to get the VAT that you pay in Lithuania back. So basically, you have a business in Lithuania, you have a company in Lithuania, you rent office, and you're renting an office price plus 21% VAT. Having this company, you'll get it back. So certain costs effectively become smaller. When it comes to IP publisher, IP holder or publisher company, there are other requirements that are important. You would probably be looking at things like legal environment, how safe it is to have a company in one country or another. This is the country that you normally wouldn't necessarily want to live in. This is the company that will be a profit center for your game. And you will probably be looking at corporate income tax, you will be looking at withholding taxes between EU and US, and actually between any other EU country. I'll go a bit more into detail about those. Starting with comparing corporate income tax between 10 countries. I couldn't have all the 27, so just 10 which I find I hear most questions about. As you can see, Lithuania has 5% tax for small businesses, and it has 15% tax for normal business. Latvia is more or less the same. Among the small corporate income tax rates countries, you have Malta, and we have Cyprus. This is typical jurisdictions. We would probably to have your profit center, because in EU, these are the smallest tax rates. While Luxembourg and Netherlands, I have to say, they have high tax rates, but they have specific regimes for certain kinds of businesses. For example, for IP holding, they also may have specific regime where the tax becomes lower. But those jurisdictions are much more expensive and much more advanced. You will probably have to invest some time and resources to find those possibilities. I have written down another slide comparing withholding taxes between those 10 countries and the US, because probably if you have a game, quite often that you have royalties coming from the US. And royalties coming from the US, royalties are a specific type of income. And for those who don't know exactly how that works, withholding tax on royalties always are often subject to withholding tax. Withholding tax means that when you have an agreement from another party to receive certain amount of money for your product, if there is a withholding tax, the other party will not pay you the whole amount. They will deduct certain amount of taxes and pay you the rest. So for example, if you are supposed to get $1 from one user, if there is a withholding tax, and you can see the rates there, this amount will be deducted from the dollar and you will receive the rest. That's why it's very important to decide on the country where you are establishing, where you establish a country which will be IP holder and which will be a publisher, because effectively this means if you're not losing or losing some portion of your profit. As you can see, the typical countries that are, well, you have to know that this is from double tax treaties, and internal rules may have slightly different numbers. But, you can see the typical jurisdictions again is Cyprus, Luxembourg, Netherlands, and Malta, with 0% of withholding tax. Now, we've gone through the corporate income tax rate, and withholding taxes are important if you're thinking of where your profit center is and where your IP is being held. If the question now is, where do I want my people to work? Where do I want to work myself? You will have to probably choose the countries. And there are several ways to receive a residency in EU. There are basically two sort of directions. One direction is through investment. Every country, or almost every country in EU, have a list of requirements that if you invest a certain amount of money in business in that country, you are entitled to receive residency permit. So you invest a certain amount and you receive residency permit. There are two kinds of residency permits, at least in Lithuania, and I know in other countries as well. There is residence permit yourself as a business investor, and then there's residence permit for yourself and your family. And in quite many cases, you will not only need to have residence permit yourself, but you will probably want to be able to move with your family. The levels of investment are quite high. At the moment, well, to be frank, from 1st of November in Lithuania, in order to be able to move with the whole family, you would have to invest into business 265,000 euros. This is a very high amount. In Latvia, in comparison, the amount is around 170,000 euros. But this is the route that requires a lot of investment. Another kind of route also allows for people to move to EU and work there is so-called EU Blue Card. I think it's named after the green card in the States, and since EU has this colors in blue, it's Blue Card. Blue Card is a tool for skilled people to be able to work in the European Union countries. By skilled, it's a directive and it's everywhere in the EU. This blue card is quite new, so there are countries, for example, Cyprus is one of the countries that haven't, at least according to the reports I found at the last, they haven't issued a single blue card. So, for example, so in every country this possibility exists, but there are certain different requirements. One requirement is that is similar for all, is that, as I said, this is a tool for skilled people to move to EU, which means that major requirement is to have a university diploma. If you have a university diploma, no matter what area, you may have legal diploma and work in game dev, you may have any other area, it's important that's university diploma. This is a way of recognizing that the person is skilled. In theory, there are possibilities. There should be possibilities to have 5-year experience recognized as similar quality of a diploma. Currently, it's not available in Lithuania, and I'm not aware of any concrete countries where that would be available. This in Lithuania, but currently, if there is no diploma, EU Blue Card way is not available. The other requirement is that in order for people to get a blue card, and blue card, I should have started with explaining more about blue card, but blue card is work permit and residence permit in one. And this also extends to your family. If you get a blue card in Lithuania, Germany, UK, or whatever, means that you can move with your whole family. And blue card means that you can work and you can live there. There are different periods for which the blue card is issued. In Lithuania, it's issued for 3 years. In other countries, it varies between 1 and 5 years. After 3 years, you can renew it. The renewal procedure is quite simple. The very important requirement you will be looking into is the salary requirement, because you are able to get a blue card only after the salary is relatively big. In most of EU countries, it's 1.5 of average salary. In Lithuania, it's twice the average salary. But since Lithuanian average salary is much lower than in many other countries, this is the numbers that you have. These are the numbers of salary requirement. This is the minimum salary that you have to have in each of the countries to be able to apply for the blue card. As you can see, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Poland is more or less the same area. When we're talking about Sweden, Germany, Luxembourg, Netherlands, it's different price area. I would like to add that what is important also is that these salaries are gross salaries. as a rule, every country you have some taxes on top. So it's not entirely the amount that's going to be the final amount. These are the salary prices. On addition, there will be some taxes. I can say for sure for Lithuania, in Lithuania, the whole amount salary, including taxes, will be approximately 1,800 euros. I'm being told that I have 5 minutes, so I should hurry up. What else is there to say about blue card? Obtaining a blue card, it takes normally 2.5 months. So if you want if you have in time restraints, it's important to think ahead. With the rule, for example, if you decide to open a studio in Lithuania, obtain a blue card, opening a company, obtaining a blue card, it's 3.5 months in total. There are possibilities to do it quite effectively, but it still takes quite some time. The other slide I wanted to share with you is employment taxation, because blue card is for employees, so people who are hired, who have a labor agreement, and it's important to look at this is from The Economist. This is the the employment taxation rates. As you can see, Lithuania is exactly EU average. Cyprus, I think, being the smallest, and Belgium being the most expensive. So when you take into account which country you will be choosing, you will probably want to look at the taxation rates and the possibilities. One thing I would like to note is that you can't see it here, but the red is social security tax rates that are between different countries. In some countries, the social security tax or health insurance tax is quite low, but that in many cases may mean that you will have to have additional health insurance. While, for example, in Lithuania, the tax that you pay for employment includes health insurance, includes social insurance, includes pension insurance, these things of the kind. And the last thing I wanted to share, and this is already very typically Lithuania, this has been announced a week ago, or exactly a week ago, during Live Mobile Congress in Vilnius. Vilnius municipality, together with some partners, is starting Vilnius Tech Park. It's amazing area, very close to the city center. It has those, as you can see, the buildings over there. They're quite old at the moment. Some of them are still used as hospitals. That is going to be changed soon. And this whole area is going to be designated to Vilnius Tech Park, meaning that it's going to be an environment friendly and adjusted for game devs, for startups, for other kinds of businesses. You can already see the kind of investors, the kinds of partners they have in Lithuania, and there you have, starting with Invest Lithuania, which is a governmental institution which helps you to open your business in Lithuania. You have Game Insight and IMIVC, game developers. You have Startup Highway, which is a startup accelerator. There is BaldCap, which is a private equity fund, Practica Capital private equity fund. It's foreseen that this area will have daycare center, it will have sports zone, it will have huge park, it will have all the facilities anyone could possibly want. It's just started, it's an only fresh idea. Vilnius municipality has already designated these buildings, this area, and it's already possible to apply, get a space in this facility. Everyone is in Lithuania hoping there's going to be the Silicon Valley of the Baltics or similar. And that's it. I just got 0 minutes. 5 more minutes for questions in case you have any. And if we don't manage to get them all, you can talk to me afterwards.
Thanks, Saule, for very interesting information about Europe. Okay, guys, your questions do you have?
Если позволите задать вопрос, он такой. При получении вида на жительство через карту есть какое-то ограничение по количеству дней, которые ты должен находиться в Литве, чтобы это ВНЖ потерять?
Thanks for the question. There is formally a requirement for every kind of residence permit have to stay in Lithuania for at least half a year in a year. Since Lithuania is part of EU and being resident in Lithuania, you can travel within the Schengen zone freely. It's difficult to track the time that you've spent in Lithuania, and in practice, we haven't seen a single situation where it's caused problems. So, basically, formally requirement there is for 6 months in a year. In practice, you probably would be having problems only when you try to apply for renewal, so meaning after 3 years, if you spend significantly less time, if it's evident somehow. So, in practice, I haven't seen situations where that caused problems.
A few years ago, I got a job offer from Germany company, but we don't agree in salary. But they said about blue card. I don't have university. Yep. I think was changed in this.
No, for blue cards at the moment cannot have a blue card without university diploma. It's not possible. And it was not possible.
You mean 5 years or 3 years or
5 years experience, working on having it recognized as a diploma, but at the moment it's still not possible. Normally, for people who don't have a diploma, what we do is we can do either, if it's a person without a family, we can work with it, which is easier, or we can do intra-group relocation of employees from one group company to another group company. But blue card is only available for people with diploma. So possibly you can start in Lithuania with a residence permit, and if you finish university, you can obtain a blue card.